Major in the majors, my father used to say, in an effort to instill in his children a sense of urgency for the purpose of focusing first upon those things which are the most important, or a concept often referred to in business courses as prioritization. First things first. The character Curly in City Slickers probably stated the principle best when he told Billy Crystal's character that the most important thing in life is to focus on only one thing, a mysterious purpose for which we are at an obligation to find on our own, using our gifts or blessings as those disposed to religious beliefs might articulate in fervent expression, to be able to say, like the Apostle Paul, this one thing I do. And of record, I am not ashamed of the gospel. And by this rambling and circuitous route, we arrive at my introduction. My name is Major Mike Webb, which is neither my birth name nor by providential intervention, or if you prefer serendipitous circumstances, the name that my parents of birth had engaged in deep deliberation with which to anoint their eldest son, having chosen the names of Sheldon Douglas, a truly unique combination, which upon my disruptive arrival on a Sunday morning into the world, they suddenly happened to forget, assigning for my birth certificate two of the most popular boys' names, one the Archangel of Fame in the Book of Revelations, and the other the famed shepherd boy and later king of the nation of Israel, who had a notorious encounter with a giant, who the scriptures record made the Israelites sore afraid, and who most know, with or without faith experience, as the Philistine Goliath. But after 2 decades of uniform military service, where I earned through successive challenging assignments in force protection and force projection, special ops, intelligence, and training, the rank of an Army field grade officer, and an introduction to partisan politics in the 58th most reliable congressional district in the nation, provided sufficient evolutionary pressure, shall we say, to engage in what marketers refer to as rebranding. Hence, my name is Major Mike Webb, and I am a candidate for Governor of Virginia. And but not for, or the sine qua non, as we say in the Latin, for my decision to seek this leadership position was the emergence of a pneumonia of unknown etiology in the central mainland of China, which developed into a lethal pandemic pathogen. And but not for a prior experience in the topics of epidemiology and virology, as an experienced and pretty much credentialed biological warfare planner who played a critical role in the standing up of that organization that was supposed to have voted as president last November, as well as a concerted effort to block my opportunity as a candidate for Congress on the 2020 November ballot, I probably would not have even been in court delving into this political issue that provides the impetus for my present candidacy. Now, let's discuss my adversaries in court, who are represented by State Attorney General Mark Herring, who is currently lining up an impressive list of political endorsements from his own party to seek re-election, and who has openly boasted about defeating as many as 15 law firms who have engaged to attempt to overturn the state lockdown orders, at least by August. For whatever reason, as God is his witness, he has chosen not to publicly acknowledge our litigations against the lockdown order, filed in the Circuit Court for the City of Alexandria on April 2nd, making it the first such challenge in the Commonwealth of Virginia, nor has he found cause to mention our challenge brought in the Federal District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia in Richmond, brought in challenge against the facial coverings mandate. For whatever reason, so too has a progressive press chosen to remain silent about these litigations, but no more silent than political leadership in the Republican Party, the party affiliation of my parents, as well as the party affiliation I have held since birth. And I find this last fact particularly astonishing because since the commencement of our litigations, not even the Senate nominee, a Ranger qualified field grade Army officer, chose to mention the fact that Mark Herring had chosen the peculiar defense strategy of evading the service of a summons from the sheriff of the city of Alexandria, amounting at a minimum to a citation for contempt of court, as well as an attempt to evade in a federal litigation the service of a summons by the United States Marshal, a felony punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison and/or fine, collectively amounting to, under the federal racketeering statute, a pattern of racketeering activity suitable for a RICO action, in a matter upon which he was fully aware that his opponent, Mark Warner, the ranking Democrat member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, had been fully briefed as early as late March. Most persons in the Commonwealth of Virginia, at least, should be familiar, especially in a pandemic crisis that has transformed almost every aspect of the American way of life in Virginia during a record-breaking election that many progressives, like Democrat Don Byron, who was to be my congressional opponent running as an independent in the last election, had described just as the most important election of his lifetime, as far back as the beginning of last year, with the nation's only physician serving as a state governor, Ralph Northam. Just last year, after an embarrassing disclosure about certain choices he had made for a mask at a fraternity party, a matter about which even members of his own party had accused him of being less than forthcoming, as a physician, he had distinguished himself as the poster child for advocacy of infanticide and had pushed further to reduce restrictions on abortion services, even promoting the idea, contrary to the holding of the United States Supreme Court in the Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, that the determination about what point at which life begins is reserved solely to a licensed and practicing physician, that no medical doctor was even required at all to perform what has been clinically described for purposes of official records as a voluntarily induced termination of a fetus or pregnancy. It is of note, since my graduate coursework at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, has become the subject of wide ridicule on social media, that Ralph is actually a graduate of a state college that was co-located with the most competitive college in the Commonwealth and the elite private college from which I actually earned my undergraduate degree in public policy. At the undergraduate institution from which he earns his baccalaureate degree is actually ranked lower than Liberty University by U.S. News and World Report, a reputable source for assessment of competitiveness of colleges upon which many persons tend to rely. As stated by the Supreme Court in the case against General Aaron Burr for treason in 1807, if the gentleman had believed this decision to be favorable to him, we would have heard of it in the beginning of his argument. For the path of inquiry in which he was led him directly to it. Interpreting the American Constitution, he would have preferred no authority to that of the Supreme Court of the country. Yes, sir, he would have immediately seized his decision with avidity. He would have set it before you in every possible light. He would have illustrated it. He would have adorned it. You would have seen it under the actions of his genius appear with all the varying grandeur of our mountains in the morning sun. He would not have relinquished it for the common law, nor have deserted a rock so broad and solid to walk upon the waves of the Atlantic. But he knew that this decision closed against him completely the very point for which he was laboring. Hence it was a decision was kept so sedulously out of view until from the excluded materials of the common law he thought he had reared a Gothic edifice, so huge and so dark as quite to overshadow and eclipse it. Let us bring it from this obscurity into the face of day. We who are seeking truth and not victory, whether right or wrong, have no reason to turn our eyes from any source of light which presents itself, and least of all from a source so high and so respectable as the decision of the Supreme Court of the United States. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for governor of Virginia. I ask every Christian, every conservative, every Republican, every Democrat, every liberal, every conservative, and every Virginian and American true to like the motto of the imagery. Follow me and we shall overcome. Honest. And y'all come back now. Yeah.
which there flows a fountain. So let its water wash my sins away. 'Cause I am a seeker and you are a keeper. You are a teacher, won't you teach me the way?
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
Guide me and keep me in the shelter of your care each day. 'Cause I am a seeker and you are a keeper. You are a leader, won't you show me the way? You are a leader, won't you show